Chambers went on to write, joy should not be confused with happiness. In fact, it is an insult to Jesus Christ to use the word happiness in connection with him. Wow, I didn't want to insult Jesus, you know. So really, it's an insult to Jesus Christ to use the word happiness in connection with him. I think part of the reason for that is, and people quote this to me all the time when they see I've got this new book called Happiness. They say, wait a minute, why did you call it happiness? I mean, if I tell unbelievers that I'm writing a book on happiness, they say, oh, great. Wow, terrific. Tell me about it. But then I've got Christians and they find out the name of the book is happiness. Really? Happiness? I mean, do you mean joy? Why didn't you say joy? I've had several people, I got a letter from a pastor telling me I was making a really big mistake writing a book on happiness. No, write a book on joy, and completely missing the idea that if you take any English dictionary, and I've looked up probably 12 different English dictionaries, and see how joy is defined, either the first word or definition or synonym or the second will always be happiness. Happiness, joy, gladness, merriment, delight. They're synonyms, which means they're overlapping circles. It's called semantic domain, and some of you are familiar with that concept. These are interrelated words that share a great deal in common. They are synonyms. Well, that's exactly what we find in the Hebrew and the Greek, the Old Testament and the New Testament. There are 20-some Hebrew words that are happiness words, joy words, gladness words. And they, in different contexts, of course, you can't just use a lexicon. They mean different things. But for the most part, they always carry with them the central component of this positive state of mind and personal fulfillment and an emotional satisfaction that can be called happiness, that can be called joy, that can be called gladness. Whatever it's called, it's something we all long for, something we all desire. And Jesus not only brought it to people, he had it, because God can't deliver what he does not have. If God is not happy, if Jesus is not happy by nature, then how is he going to provide happiness for all the people who crave to be happy, who long to be happy? They crave happiness. Why? Because they're wired for that. Augustine wrote in the 5th century, every man, whatsoever his condition, desires to be happy. Nearly 1,300 years later, the French philosopher and mathematician Blaise Pascal wrote, all people seek happiness. This is without exception. The will never takes the least step but to this object. This is the motive of every action of every man, even of those who hang themselves. Wow, that's a powerful statement. Does that make any sense? Is the person who takes his own life seeking happiness? Well, they're seeking to be relieved of their unhappiness. They're hoping that once they're dead, they won't feel anything and therefore won't know unhappiness, or they're hoping that somehow they'll experience happiness once they die, a happiness that has been eluding them. So even in taking their own lives, they are seeking happiness.